In January, we took you to the small and rural village of Hoosick Falls, which was grappling with a report of contaminated water after elevated levels of the chemical perfluorooctanoic acid, or PFOA, was detected in the water supply. In the months that followed, residents expressed confusion, frustration, and even anger over the inconsistent communication between those affected and their state and local government.
We need the dialogue to be elevated on this issue. It needs to not be a small New York area or a bigger New York area. This needs to be a national dialogue on water.
Robert Allen is a father of four and music teacher in the Hoosick Falls School District. Like other residents, he had grown frustrated with the water supply situation when a colleague suggested he watch a Cuomo administration PSA on YouTube praising the governor's success in ensuring a safe and clean environment.
Hi, I'm Mark Ruffalo, and I'm a proud New Yorker. Clean air, clean water, uncontaminated food, taking our kids to parks that are safe. These are all things that we take for granted, but we have to fight for them if we want to guarantee them for future generations.
Allen describes seeing the video as shocking, considering his New York community did not have clean water. So he made his own PSA.
Hi, I'm Rob Allen, and I'm a proud New Yorker. Clean air, clean water, uncontaminated foods, taking our kids to parks that are safe are things we used to take for granted. But here in Hoosick Falls, where dumping of cancer-causing chemical PFOA has resulted in the contamination of our water supply, we have realized that we have to fight for our own well-being if we want to guarantee it for future generations.
From our perspective in Hoosick Falls, where we've been shouting for months and months and months, the people were the ones to say, hey, there's a problem here. The people identified it. The people have been advocating all this time, and the government had been dragging their feet for so long.
The frustration had been simmering for months, but when it was revealed in a Politico expose that officials in the Cuomo administration and the mayor's office knew of the dangerously high chemical contamination residents were consuming, that frustration boiled into anger.
First, we were irritated with that, finding out the 18-month that the Department of Health fought with the EPA to tell us to stop drinking the water. So we were already kind of inflamed about that, and then the envelopes came.
Those envelopes from the State Department of Health, addressed individually to every man, woman, and child, contained the PFOA parts per trillion found to be in each person's blood. Several residents, including most of the children, tested well above the EPA's advised baseline of 70 parts per trillion. That, coupled with a sense of inaction from the government, which declined to hold public hearings on the matter, was too much for Hackett.
We decided if they're not going to listen to us, they're going to see us.
Hackett and friend Michelle Baker launched the Twitter feed PFOA Project NY1, featuring images of Hoosick Falls residents holding up cards with their Department of Health tested blood contamination levels.
Talked about it with my family, and my daughter and son-in-law agreed. We'll do these pictures. How can you not look at a 6-year-old with 142 PFOA level? If you won't hear us, you're going to see us.
Hackett and a group of locals from the village, town, and surrounding area took those very images with them to the Capitol. Along with Assemblyman Steve McLaughlin, tried to push the legislature to hold public hearings on the government's handling of the PFOA contamination of Hoosick Falls water.
A hearing is to hear from people. And if, in fact, there was wrongdoing, then I would ask you, what is wrong with saying there was wrongdoing? Why do we hold hearings ever on anything? Why do we pass bills? Most of the bills, or a very large number of the bills we pass, are to hold people responsible for something that either happened and we're addressing it, or that we don't want to happen. So I don't understand why we have this mantra in this building that, well, maybe we can hold hearings, but God forbid we ask any real questions and hold anybody responsible. If that's what comes out of the hearing, so be it.
Immediately after their press conference, the Hoosick Falls residents got a closed-door audience with Jim Malatras, Governor Cuomo's Director of State Operations. Our own Karen DeWitt was pool reporter.
The governor's response on everything was, get as many facts as you can and get as many resources as you can to the community. If Mount Sinai is not enough, then bring more doctors in. If the briefings for your primary care physicians was not enough, do more. If the study that we have currently in place is enough, do a longer term study and try to get the company to pay for it. If this blood testing at this time isn't enough, then do staggered blood testing. Do everything you, to me, do everything you humanly can to make that happen. That's what his reaction was.
Allen called the meeting a good start, even though it didn't result in any official promise of a public hearing, or a promise of continued biomonitoring, or even finding an alternative water source. But it did give them a sense of what was happening and why.
The fact that this kind of testing is very specific and tricky, and there's very few places in the country who do this, and they were working on their own approach to testing so that they could do this in, I think, a more efficient and faster way.
Yeah.
Everybody come up here. Again. Do it again. Do it again. No, everybody on top of me.
For many residents of Hoosick Falls, like Allen, what they'd really like their government to clarify is what those blood test levels actually mean, so that as biomonitoring continues, families don't have to try and comprehend form letters from the Department of Health.
We opened mine first because I figured, how bad would it be? It was in the 50s. I didn't expect that. I didn't expect that for whatever reason. We opened up my wife's, which was a great blood number, and I was really relieved to see that. And then I said, all right, let's go to our youngest, my daughter Emma, who's, when she was tested was under 2, and she's 2 now, so how high could it be? 112. It was over twice my score, which floored me because she's only been alive for less than 2 years at the time of the testing. That was a very hard moment. I'm never going to forget that moment. I didn't really have much to say for a long time after I opened that up. And after digesting that, we sort of went through the kids, and it turned out that the younger they were, the higher the number was. So of course our youngest ended up having the highest numbers, but the average of my kids is well above mine. And that was scary.
No one, Allen says, has been able to clarify exactly what those PFOA blood levels mean. For the Innovation Trail, I'm Jenna Flanagan.